Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Emergency Declaration, a Korean thriller from 2021 that stars Song Kang-ho, Byung-hun, Jeon Do-yeon, Nam-gil and Im Si-wan. Now, if you're familiar with any of those actors, you're going to see that this movie has a pretty fantastic cast. The plot synopsis, a little less exciting. After a terror incident occurs mid-flight, a passenger jet declares an emergency. So, when I read the plot synopsis, I just kind of rolled my eyes and just asked myself, how many times have I already seen this movie before? But, I decided to watch it because the cast was so good. And in all fairness, there have been a few standouts in this kind of film over the years. One of my personal favorites is a film called Executive Decision from 1996, which starred Kurt Russell. But is Emergency Declaration good enough to warrant a viewing? I'm happy to report that the answer to this question is yes. Yes, it is. The movie begins by introducing our main characters, most of whom are inside an airport and are preparing for their flight from Korea to Hawaii. After about 10 minutes, you realize that Song Kang-ho is a policeman who is on the trail of a suspected maniac, and he's out on the streets away from the airport doing his investigation. And the maniac is lurking inside of the airport, and you're not entirely sure what his plans or motivations are going to be. He's obviously nutty, there's something wrong with this guy, and he's going to cause problems that our protagonists are going to have to deal with. Meanwhile, Byung-hun is a passenger who's about to board that flight to Hawaii with his little daughter, and Nam-gil is one of the pilots on the flight. Meanwhile, Jeon Do-yeon shows up a little bit later as a transport minister who must deal with some of the problems that arise. Tone of this movie surprised me a little bit. I was expecting more of like a traditional thriller, but this actually had like a slight horror vibe to it. Right from the beginning, has an ominous mood, and that's assisted by some handheld camera work and an eerie background score. Not enough to classify it as a horror film or anything, but there's definitely a creepy vibe to this. I really did enjoy that aspect to it. It added a little bit of intensity. Now, Im Si-wan is also quite good at acting unhinged, and that helps to maintain that creep-out level. Like I said, there's something wrong with this guy's character. And what he actually does on the airplane is different from what I expected going into the film, given the plot synopsis. So that was kind of nice, I think. And because of Emergency Declaration's reliance on creating this like dark mood, it is more of like a slower burn thriller for most of its runtime. There are a few adrenaline-pumping moments of excitement, that are peppered in once in a while, which I won't spoil. But most of the film goes for a sense of unease. Performances are very good, as you might expect, given the cast listing. The director, Han Jae-rim, has a pretty good, albeit unexceptional, filmography. He previously directed The King, The Face Reader, The Show Must Go On, and Rules of Dating. Some pretty good stuff in there, but I think his best movie is still his first one. Rules of Dating is a not-so-well-known Korean film that I've talked about multiple times over the past year. Emergency Declaration is probably in this director's top 3 out of his 5 movies. Not a director who's setting the world on fire, but he's certainly capable. In terms of some obvious flaws, Emergency Declaration has a few coincidences that are peppered in throughout. Like, for example, characters just so happen to know each other, are on the same flight. And that comes in handy when the conflict arises. The policeman who's investigating the weirdo has a wife who just so happens to be on the plane that the weirdo gets on. So there is some dodgy writing in this at times, and there are also a few little inconsistencies here and there. But going into the movie, I was concerned that the 2-hour and 20-minute runtime would be too long, and I was kind of right. It definitely is a little bit on the long side. Maybe it gets a little bit repetitive in the middle section. But when all is said and done, this movie is good enough quality And it was actually a little bit better than I was expecting going into it. I was expecting the acting to carry the film, which it kind of does. But still, even so, I think this is a pretty good movie. Currently available, streaming on various websites, including YouTube and Amazon. So check it out, let me know what you think. And as always, I will see you next time.